Welcome in episode 5 of the Scotsman. It's October 22nd, and the Utah State football program coming off of a 30-25 homecoming win over the San Jose State Spartans. And we've got basketball season. An exhibition has already been played. We're thinking about doing some midseason-ish football grades. It's probably a little bit past the midway point, but
it feels like we're a lot later in the season than we actually
It seems like a nice delineator, doesn't it? Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit of basketball. I am Brian Priest, joined, of course, as always, by Tanner Tripp. Tanner, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am feeling fantastic, ready to talk college football and college basketball.
Have you recovered? Have you gotten any sleep with the new child in your life?
I don't think there's any recovery. There's just survival.
That's very fair.
And you get used to. And if I'm being completely honest, my wife is carrying a bulk of that load. Like I'm coming back to work, I do what I can in the mornings when I'm around, but it's a tough schedule when you're working nights. Yeah. So I'm very grateful to have a wonderful wife that is willing to do that. Let me do what I do.
Who gets the wake up calls at 3 a.m.? I mean, is it still early enough in the process that that's just mom because we need food?
Yeah, exactly. And the tough part is I've been told that I sleep like a log.
No.
I don't even wake up. Like I'll remember like a 3 a.m. feeding, and it'll get to 9 a.m. and I'll be like, did she sleep for 6 hours? And she'll be like, no, she woke up twice between those two feedings. And I'm like,
but you looked comfortable, Tanner.
Yep. I'm like, I am so sorry.
Oh, man. Well, you might be able to hear it on me. I don't have any room to complain compared to you, but you might hear it in my voice a little bit. I have been dealing with this like cold flu thing for the last, but it's been like 5-6 days, and it just sits right in the back of my throat. And then every time I move for more than 3 minutes, my body says, no, you need to sit back down, sir. You don't actually have that energy.
Life is insulting your age.
It's so frustrating, man, but what can you do? Let's start talking some Aggie football. So 30-25 win over San Jose State. A couple of numbers that we'll go over here, Tanner, real quick. Is this Utah State 4-0 at home? This is their best home start since 2018. They've now won 11 of the past 12 games against San Jose State. Something really exciting that I love to see about this team, because it just tells me that you've got execution and you have guys in the right places who know what their jobs are, and they're making the right decisions. Is for the third time this season, Utah State didn't commit a turnover in that game, which I think says a lot, especially in a 5-point game. That's a one-possession game. Mm-hmm. Any turnovers can completely change that one. But let's start with Bryson Barnes, who sets a career-high 326 passing yards, his first 300-yard day with Utah State. But that wasn't even the best part of his day.
What an offensive display. I mean, looking at both sets of numbers, both quarterbacks threw for more than 300 yards.
Yeah.
But what was that best part of Bryson Barnes' day?
What did you not see? Did you not hear the news? So right after the game, Bryson got rushed off to the hospital. His wife, Britlin, was having their first child. I believe it was their first child. But one thing I saw just earlier today, I hadn't seen this particular video of it, but Bryson's rushing touchdown in that game in the back of the end zone, he made sure and found a camera and gave a little rock in the baby,
there you go.
Which I thought was spectacular.
That's pretty cool.
Congratulations to the Barnes family. But it was a fun offensive game to watch on both sides, which in turn means if you're a defensive fan, kind of rough. At times it was difficult.
Defensive fan. I like touchdowns. Bryson Barnes' kid 15 years from now is going to beat him one-on-one in something and call him unathletic. Like, Dad, you don't got it anymore. He's like, the day you were born, I dropped 326 yards on San Jose State's head, and I led the team in rushing.
Did you ever watch Friday Night Lights, the TV series?
I did not.
Okay, so in I think it's the last 2 seasons after they've gone from Dillon High to the new high school, and Michael B. Jordan is in there. There's a running back character, running back linebacker. I think his name is Luke McCaffrey, and I may be thinking thinking of Luke McCaffrey because of the wide receiver in Washington. But I think his name, maybe it's McCafferty. I'm not sure. But he was a ranch hand and helping his dad, always building on the farm and doing stuff like that. And I can imagine Bryson Barnes' children growing up just like that. Like, you're waking up at 5 a.m., you're hauling hay, you're doing all the farm work, and you got to rush off to school, and you got football practice after, and then, oh no, coach, I can't do extra film study tonight. I have to go home and feed the cows.
Keeps him out of trouble.
That's the upbringing, I imagine, for the Barnes family, which fits perfectly in Cache Valley. Whether they end up in Cache Valley, somewhere else in Utah.
Well, and Bryson is the type of kid, like, because he's from Central Utah, I can see him going home, but also like staying in a place like Logan and showing up at Utah State football games for years to come. And they cut to him in the stadium and they're like, Utah State former quarterback Bryson Barnes, and everyone's going like, that's the kind of future I see for Bryson.
Not dissimilar to that of J.C. Carroll. After a great career playing basketball overseas, J.C. now lives in Cache Valley. He's got his own ranch. He coaches women's high school basketball at Mountain Crest. That's the world I can see for Bryson Barnes. I could see him coaching at Green Canyon or Logan High or something like that in 20 years.
And just like running the most run it into the ground offense that a high school football team has ever seen.
Wing T. Yeah. Let's go. Bryson was great in this game. 22 of 31 passing. He's got 13 touchdown passes this year, 42 in his career. He threw a career-long 74-yard touchdown to Anthony Garcia, and that's a name we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Anthony Garcia was terrific. But it's fun watching Bryson be so effective in this game. It's been the same thing week after week after week with him, but I just can't kick that fear every single time he starts to scramble. Is this next hit going to be the hit that breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back?
So I don't know if you remember this play, but I watched it and I was like, what are we doing? Anthony Garcia goes to take the shotgun snap and Bryson Barnes is out wide. And he throws it to Bryson. Yeah. And Bryson gets decked. I'm like, why are we putting him in more of these situations than he needs to be in? He's just like, he keeps taking these hits. And I'm like, especially like calling a play for him to receive a pass. I'm like, guys.
It's unnecessary. I mean, and I'm not an offensive coordinator. We're going to do some grading later today, and I think if we talk about offensive coordinator Kevin McGivern, I'd have a pretty high overall grade for him. But you don't need to be an OC to watch how much he gets hit. Exactly. Like, we already know that there are some issues with the offensive line. Anytime you're doing a 5-step, 7-step drop, it's really difficult for wide receivers to get down the field and Bryson to have time in the pocket. It's just been a consistent issue all year, and it seems like it gets... I don't know if it gets worse week after week, but it's certainly not improving. And so you've got to find a way to limit some of those hits that are coming on Bryson, because behind him, I mean, I want to have high hopes for Jacob Conover, but there's a reason he was a 4-star recruit that's now on his 3rd school and threw his first career touchdown pass as a graduate senior. I don't know what that reason is, but his skill set has not translated at the college level so far. And so bubble wrap Bryson Barnes, please.
Well, it's such a double-edged sword, because his ability to scramble and run is such an X factor. In a pocket that breaks down, to not take so many sacks and turn negative plays into positive yardage, sometimes it's the reason that this offense keeps moving. So you're going to live by it and you're going to die by it. And I think at this point in the season, we kind of what the identity of the offense is. Yeah. So I don't know how much change there's going to be in that department. I think he's just going to keep doing what he's doing, and hopefully he lasts it out. I would love to see a way, if you can do something different, if you can scheme something together where Miles Davis and Javen Jacobs are just a little bit more a part of that offense, and they're each getting 2 to 3 more carries a game, and then you take half a dozen hits off of Bryson in that process. I mean, that can go a long way. Well, and for Bryson to be the leading rusher in this game, already throwing for 326 yards, scoring 30 points. A run game has to be established. It's such a big part of an offense. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it's and it's just something. The wins are great, but sometimes the process has to be talked about. But
I'm a Broncos fan. Trust me. I know wins are great, but the process has to be talked about.
Hey, we could talk about that Giants game after if you want. That was fun. Hey, Anthony Garcia though. Anthony Garcia comes into the season. He on the depth chart. He starts out the summer as a quarterback, battling with Conover and Barnes for the starting quarterback job. And you get into fall camp. The first depth chart is released. And I think he had either an athlete designation or he may have had a wide receiver designation next to his name. And so there was some questions about that. And it was basically just the word from Bronco Mendenhall was he's such an athletic weapon that we wanted to be able to get the ball in his hands in whatever way possible. If we know that Bryson is our quarterback, but we have a weapon, let's get him on the field. And, at the college level, that's something that's very important. Anthony Garcia now has become the first Utah State player since Steve Smith in 1976 to score a touchdown, receiving, rushing, and throw a touchdown pass in one season. Pretty incredible, right?
Well, and I love it says a lot about a culture of a team when you have players like Anthony Garcia who are so talented and want to play a position like quarterback, but are humble enough to say, if I can just get on the field, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. It's something we're seeing more and more in college athletics is guys, or college football specifically, guys playing out of position just because they're so athletic. I think it's a lot of fun. And for us, we get to hear a name like Anthony Garcia more throughout a season than we would if he's just third down the depth chart at quarterback, and he's making a difference. So I think props to the coaching staff for recognizing athleticism and talent and saying we can use this even if it's not in the way that we thought we would. And props to Anthony Garcia for being willing to be coachable and say, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team win and get on the field and show what I got. So.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I love that mentality of any player who you go to a school and of course you're hoping to play that. Most guys want to play that skill position on offense or things like that. But when you have a guy who is just such a competitor that, look, I'm behind 3-4 other dudes on the depth chart. Coach, where can I contribute to this team? I think that shows a character. It shows a competitiveness. It shows a sense of self-awareness that, look, if I stay in this spot, I may not be able to contribute, and I want to. So how can I keep getting better and help this team out? I just think it speaks so highly of individual character.
And regardless of if you're backup, third string, fourth string, if you're a quarterback, you're not only a leader of the offense, you're a leader of the team. Mm-hmm. If you play that position. So it becomes if I can do it, guys, like you can too.
Yeah, exactly. It's that example that just not do as I say, do as I do. Mm-hmm. And it's something that's very important. Do you have a game ball for this one?
I think it's got to be Bryson throwing
easy,
for a
right?
career high.
And having a baby.
Yeah. He's going to go give that game ball to...
Congratulations, Bryson Barnes.
But Anthony Garcia, close second.
Yeah. Next up, this Utah State team, they're going to be playing New Mexico. So that is going to be an exciting game going down to Albuquerque. Just the Bronco Mendenhall factor of so many guys that Mendenhall, there are still some guys that Mendenhall coached at New Mexico. There are several guys that came with Mendenhall to Logan. And so there's just so much overlap between these two programs. It's almost going to be like a crosstown high school rivalry matchup in a lot of ways.
And I think I don't know what the expectations were for New Mexico and Albuquerque, but to be 4-3 to have a winning record at this point in the season, first-year head coach with Jason Eck, I think they're doing pretty well for themselves. I've had conversations with Utah State coaches that came with Bronco from New Mexico, and it was not a pretty exit. I can tell you there are a lot of people that are very upset with how that all went down.
Yeah.
They felt like they were
I get it.
left in the dust. Oh, yeah.
I don't blame them.
And Yeah, because if that happened to one of my teams or us here at Utah State, I feel like we'd feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it really does add a layer here into the wrinkle of this game. I think this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a physical football game. New Mexico is going to have a point to prove, and I hope Utah State gets behind their head coach and says, so do we.
So that's going to be a 1 o'clock kickoff between these two teams, and I'm really looking forward to that one. Let's do some grades real quick. The only individual we're going to grade here is going to be Bryson Barnes, and then we'll really just talk about some positional units, maybe touch on some coaching and different things like that before we look at the Utah State basketball program and their win over the Seattle Redhawks. But let's start at the quarterback position with Bryson Barnes. He's been terrific. Mm-hmm. He is at or near the top of the Mountain West leaderboards in most passing statistics. His ability to carry the football and extend plays and pick up the big yards and just be a bruising runner when you need 1 or 2 yards to get that first down. And the mentality that he has that meshes so well with what Bronco Mendenhall brings. I just don't think there is a better quarterback head coach duo for a situation like this than Bryson Barnes and Bronco Mendenhall. I'm going to give him an A- only because of just too many hits. And I'm not even going to put that on him and say it's decision making. Yeah. It's just it's too many hits, and I'm worried about you, Bryson. So A-.
And I was there in the A- B+ range. And my reasoning is my grade for Bryson has gone up every week. Every week he looks more and more comfortable in this offense. So I can't give him an A+ now because he could be leaps and bounds ahead of what he is now 4 weeks from now. I think he could continue to grow exponentially into this offense. Hopefully his grade keeps going up for me. So that's my thinking behind Bryson's grade.
Yeah, as long as Bryson stays healthy, this team is going to keep going up. Offensive line, I think it's just one of those groups that we have to address. It's been difficult. This was a group that depth-wise was shallow coming into the year. The last couple of games, they've been playing without 2 starters. And right now, you've got an offense that is just trying to piece together a 5-man unit that is competitive. Is almost what it feels like. You can't ask for greatness with the talent and the skill level of what you have in that offensive line room. C-, D+. It's just a really difficult situation, and that I think that's the nature of college football these days. Is the trenches are typically going to be the most difficult positions to fill for schools like Utah State.
I was going to say, especially in this tax bracket. Yeah, it's especially depth at that position. Yep. Where they're having to go 2-3 deep.
Because you're not getting those high school kids or was a 3-star and maybe he could come in and start as a freshman.
And I think chemistry on an offensive line cannot be overlooked. When you throw a wrench, it messes with the whole operation of that engine. Yeah. Because the movement, the blocking assignments, the trust you have to have in someone that you cannot see as you're trying to block. If you're outmanned 2v3 on one side of the line, there's a reason that those guys work so hard together in the offseason because they need to have that trust in one another. So, and I'm not saying they don't. It's just hard to develop throughout a season where there's so much in and out.
I think when you're looking at just program development over the years, it's going to be your offensive line and your defensive line, as Bronco Mendenhall is in Logan for 2, 3, 4 years, where you start seeing those kids who were unheralded local kids out of high school that Bronco got in and put them on a weight program, and they started getting that corn-fed food up in Logan, and they put on a bunch of weight and they become very productive football players. But I think it's gonna take a year or two before we start seeing the fruits of what Mendenhall is putting into that program. And that's on both sides of the line. What about the defense in general? Do you have a particular grade and some of your thoughts on the D?
I've had no gripes. I think I think just some of the point totals, keeping other teams out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Like even if they're matriculating down the field, being able to put up a red zone stand where you force a field goal, I wish that would happen more. But as long as you have an offense like this that's able to put up points with anyone. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my grade. And it's tough. We talked extensively about the Ike Larson suspension. When you have an emotional leader that isn't on the field at the beginning of a year, it's going to be, I think it's tough as a unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned Ike Larson. That's a perfect segue for me. I think he's made a big difference on the back end of that defense.
I
Not
love
so
him
much
number 18 too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, you got to earn that number. Yeah. Well, all right, 18. No, I think what he's brought has been a toughness to the back end of the defense. I think
he laid a hit. I know it got flagged.
He had 2 of them on San Jose State's leading wide receiver, and then Avenger had another. They laid him out 3 times.
And listen, I don't know. I like looking up hit compilations on YouTube. Like I have a soft spot in my heart for old football.
I grew up with the Jacked Up segment on ESPN. You don't have to.
We know what direction the game has gone in terms of player safety. But that sets a tone. Even if you get flagged, it sets a tone. And I did not hear Scudero's name that much.
No. I think he took the first 2 hits. Ike hit him, I think, on the first pass play of the game, and then he got hit on the first or second series by Avenger, and both of them he was tended to by trainers on the field and left the game for a little while, and then it was the third one, I think, in the second half, and they just completely took Scudero out of that game, and I think that's what Ike has brought to this team. Like I said, it's not so much that the performance has improved a ton. I think the safeties between Avenger playing on the back line in the absence of Ike Larson alongside Brevin Hamlin, and now Ike taking over and Avenger sliding up to the cornerback spot. I just think it's made such a big difference for this team, and being able to eliminate big plays on the back end of the defense. I would like to see them be able to force a few more turnovers. Mm-hmm. John Miller, I think, has been terrific along the defensive line, able to get into the pocket, wreak some havoc. Has been totaling a lot of sacks. You've got Isaiah Joe as a linebacker coming in as a true freshman. He is, not to give this away, but if later in the show we've got a Newcomer of the Year award, and he might be a guy in the running for that one. I think in general, the defense just isn't getting enough stops on third down. That's really where I would draw the line. I will give the defense a grade of a C. I didn't have terribly high expectations for them coming into the year. I figured it was going to be, if you're going to win 6 games, 5 of them are probably going to be shootouts. But I think you've seen enough development, enough promise to feel good about where this group is going.
Yeah. You look at just week by week scoring in the conference. I mean, they allowed 30 to Air Force, and then unfortunately 44 to Hawaii, and then 25 to San Jose State. Hopefully that number keeps going down, and that's all you can ask for with a midseason grade.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Bronco's been talking about it all season long, just how the margin is so small in the Mountain West right now from the haves and the have-nots. Every team is so close, and that just makes every third down stop that much more important. Every time you hold a team to a field goal instead of a touchdown when they reach the red zone, it's that much more important.
Well, and I think this Mountain West is a lot more wide open than we would have thought at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Anyone's game still. So
let's say 4 more awards here. Do you want to go coaching, or do you want to go Player of the Year awards?
Let's go coaching. I've been happy with it.
All right, let's hear about it.
Yeah. You can only, even though it's a guy with a resume like Bronco Mendenhall, you can only ask so much from a first-year head coach. But being undefeated at home, it's great. Give the fans something to be excited about when they come to the field. Mm-hmm. Hiring the right staff to be able to have an explosive offense like this. It's been everything that I could have expected, I think.
Yeah, Bronco coming, I'm going to give this an A. Bronco coming in, he's establishing a tone and a culture in the locker room and with the program. I think the offensive coordinator, we already mentioned, Kevin McGivern, his just ingenuity on the offensive side of the ball, and the way that he has been able to use some of these players, the way that they've used Anthony Garcia, the way that Brady Boyd and Braden Pagan have come in and been so successful as wide receiver transfers from big-time schools. Miles Davis. It's just something you've seen McGiven really be able to take the talent that he has at his disposal and put it together into something. I think there are a lot of coaches who, if they have the right players for their system, can be successful. It takes a special coach to take their system and mold it around their players. And so I think that's what Utah State is doing. So I'm going to give the coaching staff an A. Let's go newcomer of the year first. This is going to be a freshman or a transfer. Who do you want to start with?
I think the 2 wide receivers you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm blanking a little bit, but.
Yeah, Brady Boyd and Braden Pagan. Yeah, they've come in. Boyd came from Texas Tech and Pagan out of UCLA, and these are guys who were both in these programs for 3 to 4 years and have now come to Utah State and been incredibly productive, putting up high reception numbers. They've been able to, you've seen some good chemistry with Bryson Barnes, and it's a wonder. I think that's part of the joy of the transfer portal. There's so many people who complain about, we're losing guys and we have to replace them. Well, think about the heralded recruits who, the 3-star, the 4-star that wasn't getting playing time at the big school in Texas or in California, or he went to Ohio State and they're not getting time, but they can go to a school like Utah State and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm a big time Division I college football player and I'm putting up numbers.
And they're it's the joy of the transfer portal, like you said, to have 2 transfers having the most targets and most yards by a large margin on your offense. I think it's great this year, but also shows that if you have a good scouting department, every year you're hopefully going to be able to find guys to inevitably fill those holes when those holes open up. So Pagan and Boyd wins. They Boyd has 404 receiving yards on the year and Pagan with 546, and then it's a large gap.
Yep.
So to have guys that are that trusted by your senior quarterback, thumbs up.
Yeah, that's an important thing. Since you went with the offensive side of the football, I'll go newcomer. I'll give you a freshman, Isaiah Joe at the linebacker position. It's just not often that somebody can come in as a true freshman and have the physicality to be a part of the game. Because
at that age, you're still growing.
Exactly. You're not a man.
Yeah. So to be able to lay the lumber, it's.
Yeah, and then Noah Avenger. I don't think you can speak highly enough of Noah Avenger and what he's done.
And the
coming
role
over,
he had to step into.
Exactly. He came over here from New Mexico with Bronco Mendenhall, expecting to be a corner, and he's a guy with great tackling skills. And when Ike Larson gets suspended, Noah, we need you as safety. Never asked a question, never complained, never said anything. He just became one of the best safeties in the Mountain West immediately. Ike Larson comes back. Avenger shifts back down to corner. The back end of your defense gets a little bit stronger. And just the thump that he and Ike Larson seem to have between each other. It reminds me a little bit of a couple years ago, Anthony Switzer and Ike Larson. Switzer was a transfer that came with Blake Anderson from Arkansas State. And he missed his first year at Utah State, but the one season he was on the field, he and Ike Larson were just menaces in the defensive backfield, and that's what I'm seeing from Avenger and Ike as well. So those will be my newcomers of the year. Defensive player of the year.
Probably
I think
Avenger.
It's got to be either Avenger or John Miller.
Okay.
Right?
Huh?
Miller is either leading the Mountain West in sacks right now or near the top of the sack leaderboard. And without him on the defensive line and what he's been able to do, this defense would be in such an incredible world of hurt. I don't know that they have anybody else who can get into the backfield with any consistency and put offensive behind the chain. So I'm going to give it to John Miller if you want to take Avenger on that one.
Yep. So Utah State has the second most sacks in the league, and most of those are probably coming from one guy. So
yeah, I think 2 weeks ago, I want to say he had 5.5 going into the Hawaii game. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Offensive player of the year. What if we eliminate Bryson?
Yeah.
We can't. It's Bryson. You can't give it to anybody else. It's Bryson Barnes. He's been incredible. If Bryson Barnes is not there, this team might be winless.
That's the thing. I don't know where offensive production comes from if it's not from Bryson Barnes.
Yep.
Because you need a combination of coachability and experience, and he has both. Because he has a tough assignment. How many coaches has he had in his college career?
If I could be mistaken here, but I think coming into this year, he was going to be playing under the 6th offensive coordinator of his college career.
That is an extremely difficult thing to do.
In 7 years, right?
For a young man like that, because offenses are not, it's not a children's book. Those are complicated, and you have to learn a new one each offseason. Huge respect for what he's been able to do. So
absolutely. All right, let's shift gears real quick. Take a look at Utah State basketball. I've been trying to explain to Tanner. He's coming from Colorado and just familiar with other schools and other colleges and the way that they treat football. Logan is a basketball town. We love our Aggie football, don't get me wrong, but Logan is a basketball town. The Spectrum is the place to be. And this Aggie team, they start off the season 88-76 in an exhibition against Seattle in the Spectrum. They're going to play San Francisco in another exhibition this coming Saturday. But everybody played in this game. So I think they went 15 guys deep. You had 5 guys end up in double figures. And for me, honestly, I don't think you can take anything away from these numbers. It's an exhibition, and I don't even have any film from it. Yeah. But it's exciting to see them back on the floor. Yeah. And I think to come out and be able to put on an exhibition like this for their fans, it's something that, again, we talk so much about the way college sports and college athletics have changed in recent years, but this is one that it's a little bit different, and I would say it might be a slight improvement. Instead of, I remember watching teams like Puget Sound would come, or there was one random school in New York that came out. I can't even remember who it was. But you'd get these tiny Division III schools, but now instead, hey, let's raise some money for the program. Let's play a decent program. You play Seattle, then you go play San Francisco.
San Francisco's it's a good mid-major.
Yeah, exactly.
They made a run.
And so I think it's something fun for the fans, and it makes it opens up the possibilities of home and homes, maybe teams that wouldn't want to play you in the regular season, but wouldn't mind scheduling you for an exhibition just so you can get in front of their fans, you can get in front of theirs. It's always helpful to be in different parts of the country for recruiting purposes.
It's such an issue in college basketball specifically is Power 4 schools not wanting to, like high majors not wanting to schedule mid majors.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the quad 2, quad 3 loss. And Utah State is a very, very good mid major. Like they're going to have a shot to win the Mountain West next Pac-12 every single year and make a run in a tournament. And that scares programs who don't want a blemish. And that's happening across the college basketball, or mid majors are having a really hard time scheduling not only exhibitions but non-conference games. So I agree, having good relationships with other mid-majors, bigger schools for an exhibition to come in, or you go there, it's a wrinkle that unfortunately we have to worry about, but it's part of the dance.
Yeah.
So
if you have to do it, it's a nice option to have. Yeah, it's kind of the way I look at it. Well, Tanner, I think that's going to do it for us today. Do you have anything else?
I'm so excited for basketball. Basketball is my first love, and I could talk basketball for so long.
The Jazz, we're here at the Triad Center right now it's 4:19 p.m., about 2.5 hours before the Utah Jazz open the 25-26 season against the Clippers, right across the street. It is. It's basketball season. It's here. I wore a hoodie leaving the house today, which is always exciting. I think I've already brought that up on the podcast. So,
regardless of what your expectations are for the Jazz, I think we should all be excited to watch Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey is going to be fun. Hey, look, just basketball in the state of Utah will be fun to watch. The Jazz might not win a lot of games, but they are going to be fun to watch, and you're going to learn something new every night. Well, BYU, number 8 in the country coming into this season, and I would not be surprised at all if they're a top 2 seed come NCAA tournament time.
And I think Utah's a bit of a wild card with Alex Jensen.
Yeah.
It's such a big unknown. Not only a brand new head coach, but a guy who's never coached at the college level. They could come out and win 20-plus games.
And then you've got Utah State. I would be surprised if Utah State is not an NCAA tournament team. The Utah Valley Wolverines picked to win the WAC. They're the preseason selection to advance to the NCAA. So now we've got
head coach to an extension. Season.
Yeah. So a lot of good things going on in basketball in the state of Utah. It's exciting. And I love the fall.
We just had Cole Bagley, Mammoth Insider, in here. He was looking over across.
He was not happy with you.
I used to produce the Utah Hockey Podcast. Cole and I have a brotherly relationship.
It's a falling out.
Put it right.
It seemed like
he's
there was
upset that I'm here and not there.
Yeah.
But he was telling us that there are we have seen what the Mammoth have done before their home openers the last couple of years, packing that corner and just having activities for kids and the players walking in the building, and it's just packed. And he said for the Jazz, it's the same thing right now. I think this state loves its basketball. So
the excitement is there, but that's going to do it for us with the Scotsman. I'm Brian Priest. He's Tanner Tripp. Where can they find the show?
Find the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you want your Utah State coverage, you're going to be able to find it from us.
Yeah, if you can look it up on a computer, you might be able to watch some Utah State coverage from us. Well, thank you for tuning in and listening to the Scotsman. We'll be back next week.